I'm Al. Hi, everyone. I lead the sales team here at Dash. So, in my few years here, I've spoken to hundreds of brands about how they manage, share, and deploy their content. So, really excited to talk to you all about that today, particularly around how brands are sharing their content with retailers.
Yeah, and I'm Mike. I'm an account executive here at Dash. So I've been working in the SaaS field for the last decade. And yes, that is older than I do look. Day to day, I speak with brands, helping them streamline their creative workflows. And just to give everyone a bit of a quick intro and some background. So Dash is a digital asset management tool for e-commerce brands. So we help marketing and e-commerce teams organize, find, and share their visual content easily, so they can ultimately get back to sort of building campaigns and growing their brand, what they're best set up to do. This really isn't intended to be us selling Dash today, don't worry. I know we do work in sales, but that isn't the case. But if you do want to buy,
sometimes, right? So yeah,
exactly. But look, we're going to share some cool stories from some brands about different situations they found themselves in. Probably, no doubt, similar to some of the experiences that sort of many of you on the call have faced yourselves anyway. And you've probably seen some of our videos as well in the last couple of weeks. So we will try and keep it very light-hearted and engaging for you. And we'll open up the floor at the end for sort of any questions that you guys have. So
fab, let's get started.
So look, as I mentioned, the theme of today is to show you the real secret to getting your products into more stores. So we work with multiple brands who value their retailer partnerships, and we know working with retailers is really important for your business. Sort of one of the most powerful stats that we can refer to is 86% of brands have their products available via retailers or marketplaces. So premium fashion brands, as an example, retail partnerships accounted for about 32% of revenue on average. And that was based on 30 brands tracked in the Vogue Business Index. So yeah, from working with small to mid-size e-commerce brands and speaking to them daily, I know, as you can imagine, 30% of their revenue would certainly be something they couldn't miss out on. And it's important that we try and let you into a few secrets to try and retain that 30% or sort of build yourself up to that 30% in the ever competitive e-commerce market. So to start off, tools like WeTransfer, Dropbox, Google Drive, they're tools that we should all be familiar with. They're great. I personally use them myself outside of my working life and also inside. So I know we use them ourselves here. And I know you do as well, Al, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And they're really great for document storage, brilliant if you've got naming conventions for files, that kind of thing. But I guess when it comes to visuals, there's often no preview or thumbnail for people to look through. So it's really, really hard to search for visuals using them. And often the search functionality is really poor. So there's no way to tag assets or find assets easily. So content gets lost, and some brands even have to reshoot or redesign content, even though it's living there inside the file system. And often that also creates this kind of needlessly increasing spend in terms of creating content over and over again. So yeah, I think there's definitely a place for those tools, but I think a DAM will provide you with a lot more functionality.
Yeah, definitely. And that's something, we know from, being told and finding out ourselves, the likes of WeTransfer, Dropbox, shared drives, as an example, typically means disorganized content chaos, right? These tools, that they're great, but they aren't built for scaling. They're built for ultimately sharing one file at a time, right?
I have heard numerous examples of out-of-date content being used by retailers because the wrong version was sent to them, or the WeTransfer link didn't send the first time, that kind of thing. Obviously, that's got a massive impact on time, on your sales, and hugely on your brand's reputation. So we don't want that. We've even seen some brands open up their whole Google Drive and assets have gone missing, or they've fallen into the wrong hands, for example. So when you do something like that, it's really easy for your competitors to also get their hands on your assets. So another thing is retailers really expect fast, kind of seamless access to your assets as well. If they're not getting that experience from you, they'll probably go elsewhere. They might even decide to partner with someone else who's easier to work with and gives them a better experience, for example.
No, definitely. And keeping your assets secure is important as well, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Brands want to be in control of who has permission to access their content, like setting passwords and controlling exactly who sees what. Like you don't want to keep using shared logins and endless like 2FA codes, for example. So yeah, you want a space where everything is in one place. You can set those permissions and you can share your content really easily and securely.
Where's this going then? We have promised everyone that we would let them into the secret. So now we probably should start heading down that path. And the secret to scaling your retail partnership really isn't more hustle. Don't worry. It's all about making it ridiculously easy for your partners to get what they need when they need it without asking you every time. So go on now, kick us off. How do brands do it?
We mentioned dash portals earlier. It's been a game changer for some of the brands that we're just about to speak to you about. So we'll give you some examples of how moving from those kind of shared drives, WeTransfer links, into using a DAM system has really changed their world, really.
We obviously know that brands are working with multiple retailers, distributors on a day-to-day basis, but it'd be great for everyone else to find out how are they managing this on a day-to-day basis. So we know Hawes, they came to us in a similar situation, right?
I know, Mike, you love a little bit of watering the plants in the office with your little watering can. But yeah, if you don't know Hawes, go and check them out. They're an excellent brand. But yeah, like Mike said, they came to Dash. They were working with over 100 retailers, like online brick and mortar resellers, to stock their products around the world. The problem that they were going through, they were just about to go through a rebrand, but all of their content was saved on different drives, personal folders, Microsoft Teams messages, and they needed a way to centralize all that content before they then went through their rebrand. Like in their words, it was a complete mess. So they moved to Dash a couple of years ago. They found that they were not only able to kind of like organize their content, but a bonus for them was that they also improved the way that they share their content with those hundreds of retailers. So they made that process much slicker. So they set up Dash portals to give different retailers access to specific folders like lifestyle, product photography, that kind of thing, and offered them a self-serve format so they could go and search for those assets themselves rather than being asked for different assets to be sent through to them all the time.
I suppose a question on top of my head that's I'm sure on the lips of people watching this is, what if the content is updated to a new version?
So with the portals in Dash, and I'm sure a few other DAMs do this as well, like everything's updated in real time. So you're sharing folders or subfolders of assets. If that content changes within those folders, it's dynamic, right? So you've always got peace of mind that the retailers have got their hands on the final versions and also the most up-to-date versions as well. So and it's instant, so it will be an instant replica of whatever you've got stored in your main DAM and instantly available for the resellers to use.
I suppose the retailer and distributor does nothing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Makes it super easy for them. I think Hawes are really pleased. I remember Josh said something.
Josh was the purchasing manager at Hawes. He quoted his words: "We want to make it as easy and fulfilling to sell Hawes products as possible. So Dash is a way for us to share all of our assets with our retailers and optimize their sale performance." So some nice words about us in particular. So I know another issue we see brands facing is by using the likes of a G Drive and Dropbox is the quantity of content requests, right? So we know it's a common issue.
One of the main reasons from people moving away from shared drives like Dropbox, G Drive, SharePoint is that internal and external users can't find content quickly. So people can be demanding, right? Especially retailers. Yeah. And fair enough, because they're the people that are selling your products. So we want to keep them happy. But as we said before, we find brands are so reliant on a handful of colleagues who have got it all stored in their head, okay? And they know where the content is, but that's like a single point of failure. They're not around. You can't find the content quickly. You can't get it out to your retailers.
No, definitely. And I suppose different retailers might need different sizes based on sort of the different platforms they're using, right? One retailer might be using Shopify, another using WooCommerce, and that's taking a lot of manual time each time they're coming to you for crops and resizes. So just remembering that secret is less hustle, right?
For sure.
Yeah, and I mean, another good example is last year we started working with Fashion Fitness Group, who are a huge distributor of Reebok in Latin America. Talk to us a little bit more about their experience.
Yeah, sure. So, like their previous file sharing system made it really difficult to work with retail partners. They've got multiple partners and retailers. They needed to ensure that the correct content was being delivered almost on a daily basis, which I'm sure some of the brands here today is the same problem that they'll face. So what they were doing is they'd have to download the content, adapt it, duplicate the same content across OneDrive, Google Drive, and that totally depended on what resellers preferred. So huge process that they had to go through. So it meant that creative was scattered across different systems, content was getting replicated, and then also it was difficult to find anything. Because they were receiving these multiple requests each day, it was just costing them so much time, so much effort, and a lot of money as well, right? So a lot of the requests were for the same asset in different sizes. We don't need to do that using a DAM, and particularly in this case with Dash. So what happened is they joined Dash, they set up portals for those different retailers. They could give access to specific folders of content, control what content is in each folder, including the version control, and then use a mix of folders and tags to organize the visuals in a way that's really easy to find. So now they've got peace of mind that their retailers are only using the most up-to-date content, and it also took time away from those content requests because now the retailers have got a self-serve experience. And what they have said to us is that they think that they have cut creative requests from partners and retailers by 80% each month, which is absolutely huge for them.
Yeah, that is, I mean, if I could cut my colleague requests by 80%, I think I would be living the dream. Unfortunately, that is not the topic for today. And there may be some listening. So swiftly moving on. So look, we know there's a lot at stake working with multiple retailers, right? So you've got to get your content out on time, make sure they want to work with you over and over again, keeping them happy, keeping that relationship nice and solid. How can brands ensure good relationships with their retailers?
Let's talk about Mountain Equipment. There are great friends in the e-commerce world, and they are excellent at doing this. So like 95% of Mountain Equipment's revenue comes from retail partners. They didn't have a proper system to manage and share assets. So retailer partnerships were becoming a bit tested. They were using WeTransfer links to send really important assets out to key retailers. They were failing or they weren't reaching the destination, and they were at risk of like delivering a really poor performance, and experience. So we know that the industry they're in is really competitive. So they were up against some really like top-notch brands as well. So it could have meant that retailer experience meant that they were losing out to some of the competition.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a typical story we hear, right, from brands that are coming to us using these free tools, getting to a point where they're scaling and growing at a great rate. So I suppose, how did a DAM change their workflow?
They've got a central place. It's easy to use, and they can organise their content and share it with their retailers much quicker now. So they curate like collections of assets for campaigns, but their main focus has been around the customer retailer portals. So they can always ensure that their retailers are receiving like the most up-to-date latest assets. Like as a brand, Mountain Equipment have built a reputation as being really trusted, reliable, but they also needed to stay ahead of the game in terms of those retailer partnerships and experiences. So moving from a bit of a disorganized content depository and moving towards this one-stop shop really set them apart from their competitors.
Yeah, definitely. They are doing some great work. So we know they cut their content spend, right?
They create some great content. So the content that they create, like videos, ads, product, photography, the problem that they were facing was they were spending a lot on that, creating that content, but it wasn't always being used by their retailers and their partners. So what they needed to do was become a bit more organized in terms of where that content was being stored and being able to kind of tag the content, that kind of thing, and also get analytics and reporting around what content was actually being used by their retailers. So now they have the ability to look at those reports, look at those analytics, see which content's being used, and put their spend into the areas that they feel are more successful. Terry's the marketing manager at Mountain Equipment. I think he said something like, you can put all the money in the world into the best shoots, but if you don't share the content, it's pointless. Like the slide says, they think that they have cut wasted creative spend by about 25 to 30%. So absolutely massive for a global brand like Mountain Equipment, particularly in that saturated outdoor market.
I've got a quote here that he used. Dash is a hill I'd be willing to die on. Although I do love his commitment, there is somewhat some irony for him picking a hill over a mountain based on the business and brand he works for.
Oh,
Maybe I'll bring that up next time we see him.
I haven't even clocked that before, actually. That's quite funny. Yeah.
No, I do. But I did promise there isn't any bias to any of our users and customers. Okay, it's not just Mountain Equipment. We do love a punk IPA as well, right? Brewdog.
Do we? Okay.
Talk to me. So everywhere we know, you go around the world, you see a Brewdog. How do they ensure their correct assets get to the right destinations globally?
So huge brands, like you say, they're in bars all over the world. They work with hundreds of retail partners who obviously sell their drinks, their merchandise, glasses, all that kind of thing. So they have to supply those retailers with the correct content, packaging, barcodes, SKU codes, like all of the information around the products. And then those retailers have to do the same with the bars that they distribute to. So it's like a 3-step process. Also, they are regional. So every country they operate in needs different information printed on their cans, on their packaging, and obviously for any marketing campaigns that they're going out with. So on the slide, you can see what looks like 3 punk IPA cans, but actually they're all slightly different, got slightly different writing on them, slightly different language. The first one's UK, second one's US, and the third one is a German punk IPA. So what they were doing is they had a previous dam, but it was really difficult to separate the relevant assets out into the different regions. So they were sharing all content with everyone. So obviously, I mean, that fills me with dread. But obviously it created massive problems where like UK packaging was being used in the US can shots were being used in Germany, and so on and so forth. So loads of confusion, which obviously affects the reputation of the brand as well. Plus all of their new and unapproved assets, so new designs, new beers sometimes were available within that DAM system as well. So they not only risked, retailers or bars kind of using things that weren't even on the, from the shop shelf at the time. They also risked like competitors getting their hands on new ideas that were coming from Brewdog. So these are different portal screens. So there's a different portal for UK, for the US, and for Germany. They're able to share all of their master brand assets with each of those regions, but they can share just the folders for those specific regions within the portal. So it just makes it a much better experience for the retailer, and then obviously for the bar, for the restaurant. But for Brewdog, they're confident that those regions are using the right assets. So cheers to that.
Absolutely. Probably won't open it right now. Yes.
Yeah, might be a bit
It's
early,
proven we're not biased. No, definitely. Well, look, I think it's been great. We've seen some examples from a variety of brands using Dash. I suppose the best place to go from here is to show everyone how easy it is to create a portal.
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, we wouldn't be salespeople, right, if we didn't do a little demo. So this is Dash. This is a clothing brand that we've created ourselves. I mean, I'm loving the t-shirts in this brand. So shout out to our designer, Lucy, for creating this. But essentially, you have got your folder structure within Dash. You've also got a lovely filter where you can kind of search for the specific content and products using that filter or the search bar. But let's concentrate on the portals. So super easy to set up a portal. So for example, this clothing brand would probably stock their products with ASOS. So we created a nice portal for ASOS here. Dash generates a link for the portal that you can share with your retailers. So this is my folder structure. I can share particular folders and subfolders with this retailer. I can send them messages through the portal, and I can also passcode protect the portal as well. So going back to that Brewdog example where they were sharing everything with everyone, you can share the link to a portal with everyone, but you can also back it up with a passcode. So it just adds that layer of protection to your content. So we can also customize the theme of the portal as well. So we can add a logo, we can change the coloring, change the imagery within the portal. So this is what the retailer would receive when you share the link with them. So they've got this nice homepage where they can search for assets. They've got the folders of assets that you've shared with them. So for example, these are our product shots here. They can also resize the assets as well. Okay, so like I said before, you've got the ability to hold preset sizes. You've got all the social media sizes out the box as well. And you can do a custom download. So I like the look of those glasses there. I can just crop those glasses out of this image and use that in any of my shots. So that's the portal resizing. In terms of the search, so if we wanted to search for something like multiple coloured, oh, this is where my spelling comes into play, t-shirts. So none of my assets have been tagged here in this system, but if we put on the AI enhanced search, Dash is going to look at all of my content, and it's provided me with the search that I've asked it to. Okay, so that's the general overview of the portal. There are some analytics around what content is being used from the portal as well. So I can ask it to provide me with certain time frames, so I can see which content is being used by this particular retailer, so ASOS in this situation. So I can see how many times an asset has been downloaded, for example. I can also see what sizing they've been using as well, so whether it's social media, custom download, or a preset size. So it gives you much more information compared to maybe a WeTransfer link or sharing your Google Drives and boxes as well. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of a taster of what a portal can do. Thanks, Mike. So
Appreciate you showing everyone that out. So wrap up the slides, I suppose, for today. First and foremost, evaluate your tools and workflows. So we know there's lots of tools out there. We hear all the time about how people have struggled and not known that these tools are out there. Absolutely go and do your homework and make sure you have that single source of truth for your brand and your product assets so your retailers can access easily, and don't put yourself in danger of breaking down a relationship, obviously in this heavily competitive market. Free up your team's time by decreasing content requests and allow them to spend time on what they do best and what you hired them to do. Stand out amongst competitors, so by using the intuitive, easy on the eye, self-serve systems, as an example today, Dash, but there is others out there as well. Absolutely use these to again, enhance and utilize those relationships. Make sure you know what your content is being used in, for, and in real time. You can cut your creative spend and still get excellent results, as some of the examples have demonstrated. And lastly, manage and distribute content to multiple regions from one place. That single source of truth is really important. So one of the questions I've got for you, I'll be the question master if you like. How many portals can a user have?
Dash is super flexible. So yeah, you can have as many portals as you should wish without having to pay any extra.
Great. Another question that come in that ties in quite nicely to this is how many users can access the portal?
Yeah, so the portal is shared via a link. So you can share the portal with anyone. You've obviously got the ability to add the passcode to the portal. So it's basically open to anyone who's got the link and who can enter a passcode.
Great. There is a question that comes in that says security, but I think what they're alluding to is, and that's something we mentioned earlier, is how can we add some sort of security to Dash in general?
Dash in general, you have to be invited to use the system. So Dash is not just a live system that you can log into. You have to be a user of the system. There's SSO within Dash as well. You've got peace of mind that the people that you want to use it are using it.
Great. And I think the last one here is, and you've covered this already, but I think it'd be good to answer in this is, what if I make any changes to the assets in my folders?
Yeah, so the portal is dynamic, right? So it matches everything that you've got in your central depository. So if you kind of add content to folders or take away folders, so like we have the ability to kind of enter expiry dates against assets in Dash. So Dash will provide you with a trigger when it knows that the asset is about to expire. So in that situation, you can withdraw the asset from the folder and it will be withdrawn from the folder within the portal as well. So it will always match what you were doing in your central Dash.
Great, great. Well, I appreciate everyone for those questions.
I hope everyone's found that useful. Like we said before, like we obviously sell Dash and absolutely love the product, but there are multiple products out there. And I think we're like, from a company point of view, like we're really passionate about helping e-commerce brands in general. We know that there's so many tools within the tech stack. We know quite a lot of them. So if anyone wants to kind of bend our ears, ask us any questions about Dash, but anything, any other tools or any other the workflow issues that you might be having, then please reach out to us. Our emails are on the screen at the moment. We're on LinkedIn. So yeah, we'd be really happy to help.
Definitely, just to echo that as well. Yeah, reach out to us, even if they are just sort of generic industry based questions, or I know we're always at events as well. Tap us on the shoulder, say hi.
Yeah, absolutely. Or like, about watering plants or, that kind of thing. That'd be
I'm
totally
probably
fine.
better
We'll
at
do that.
opening IPA cans than I am watering my plants here, as the plants in the office look like right now. But no, thanks for everyone for hopping on, and yeah, hopefully see a lot of you around at events and speak to some of you very soon.